I picked up this little vise at an estate sale. I had been looking for a little clamp-on vise for a while. This one was missing some pieces, but the jaws were in decent shape and the anvil had not been beat on. The vise came apart pretty easily. Up until I got to the screw. Usually there is a retaining clip. Instead of a clip, the vise had a blind pin that I'm guessing goes into a groove on the screw shaft. I decided that since the screw turned freely, that I was better off leaving the pin alone. I gave all of the parts a bath in mineral spirits. Next, I applied paint remover to see if I could get the red paint off. In my experience, red paint is the most difficult to remove. Here's the parts after several applications of paint remover. The old red paint must have all the good stuff in it: lead, arsenic, formaldehyde, alien blood, I don't know what else. So I masked up and went after it with a wire wheel and my drill. I gave the parts a soak in evaporust to get into where I couldn't reach with the wire brushes. I was planning on repainting the vise, so I only cleaned up the worst of the casting flaws. I spent a little more time on the jaws and the anvil. I wasn't sure how this was going to work. I blacked the jaw faces with a Sharpie. Then I clamped my file with light pressure between the jaws. I was hoping I could true the jaws to each other. The Sharpie marker let me see where the file had removed material. I reapplied the marker and filed some more. I think I got those jaw faces pretty tight. I went over the jaws and the anvil with the fiber wheel. Chuck decided he wanted to help me tape up the parts for painting. Hey Chuck, it looks like you really got into your work. I used some 1/4 inch diameter steel round stock and a couple acorn nuts for the handle. I cut 1/4 20 threads on both ends for the nuts. I wanted to make a swivel pad for my vise similar to the one on this C-clamp. I started with a cheap low-grade steel hex bolt. I drilled a stepped hole in the head and then sanded the hex round. I added a chamfer to one end. Here's the hex bolt head shaped into my swivel pad. I cut the threaded portion off and added another chamfer. I sanded down the diameter of the end of the screw jack so the pad was able to spin freely. I also used a hacksaw to cut 2 slots in the end. My plan was to expand the slots to lock the pad onto the screw at final assembly. I applied Birchwood Casey's Permablue to the handle and clamp parts. Here's what the little vise looked like when I brought it home from the estate sale. What do you think? Does it look okay? This might be the last project I'll get out of that can of yard sale moss green. I think the blued steel parts look good with the green paint. I modified a nail to expand the saw cut end of the screw to lock on the swivel pad. I hope you can see how I was able to flare out the saw cut end. I wasn't able to find any information about the maker of this vise. I found 2 old OK tool companies, one in Shelton, Connecticut, and one in Milford, New Hampshire, but I couldn't find any evidence either company made vises. This was a fun project, and this will be a handy little vise to have. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. I bet you thought Chuck and I forgot the flits. We polished the jaws and anvil after painting.